Clark. I mean, that's clear, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
The WNBA is no longer just a sport, it's a battlefield. It is a high-stakes arena where the lines between competition and pure, unfiltered resentment have blurred. While Caitlin Clark is breaking records, the veterans are breaking her spirit. Imagine a black screen, the sharp blast of a whistle, and then an explosion of fast cuts, hard fouls on Caitlin Clark, bodies colliding, elbows flying, and Clark hitting the floor repeatedly. This is not the basketball of the past. This is a new, brutal era defined by a level of physicality that borders on personal. For 27 long years, the WNBA operated in the shadows of American sports. It was a league of legends who played their hearts out in half-empty arenas, often ignored by the major television networks and overshadowed by the multi-billion-dollar machine of the NBA. These women, players like Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, Maya Moore, and Sue Bird, were the true pioneers. They were the ones who traveled on commercial flights, often sitting in cramped middle seats for hours before a game. They stayed in budget hotels, played for salaries that would be considered pocket change in the men's league, and fought for every single ounce of media coverage they could get. They built this house brick by brick, with their own blood, sweat, and tears. But then, in early 2024, everything changed. A phenomenon arrived from the cornfields of Iowa that would shake the very foundations of the league. Her name was Caitlin Clark. She wasn't just a basketball player, she was a cultural tidal wave. With a shooting range that seemed to start from the moment she stepped past half-court, Clark captured the imagination of the entire country. Suddenly, the silence that had surrounded the WNBA for nearly 3 decades was replaced by a deafening roar. The Caitlin Clark effect was unlike anything the sports world had ever seen. Arenas that used to be 80% empty were now selling out within minutes. Ticket prices skyrocketed. Television ratings outperformed the NBA Finals. Corporate America suddenly woke up. Multi-million-dollar endorsement deals from Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm were being thrown at a rookie. But as the money flowed in, a dark cloud began to form over the locker rooms. Imagine being a veteran like Diana Taurasi, who has given 20 years to this game, seeing a rookie get everything you ever wanted without paying the same dues. This is where the jealousy crisis began. This is the war for the soul of the WNBA. To truly understand why the WNBA is in a state of civil war today, we have to go back to a single moment in April 2023. The NCAA National Championship game. Iowa versus LSU. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. This wasn't just a game, it was the birth of a rivalry that would change the business of women's sports forever. On one side, you had Caitlin Clark, the generational shooter who had spent the entire tournament breaking scoring records and captivating the world with her logo threes. She was the golden girl, the hero the media had been waiting for. On the other side, you had Angel Reese, the powerhouse from LSU, unapologetically loud, fiercely competitive, and willing to be the person everyone loves to hate. When the final buzzer sounded and LSU took the trophy, the world didn't talk about the score. They talked about the gesture. Angel Reese followed Caitlin Clark across the court, pointing to her ring finger and doing the "you can't see me" wave in Clark's face. It was a moment of pure competitive fire, but the reaction from the American public was a shocking display of double standards. While Clark had used similar gestures earlier in the tournament and was called passionate, Reese was labeled classless and villainous. This was the exact moment the racial and cultural divide in the sport was cracked wide open. It wasn't just about basketball anymore, it was about who is allowed to show emotion on the court. This rivalry didn't stay in college. It followed them like a shadow into the 2024 WNBA draft. When the Indiana Fever selected Clark as the #1 overall pick, and the Chicago Sky took Reese at #7, the stage was set for a professional showdown. But the transition wasn't smooth. The media focused 99% of their attention on Clark, framing her as the white savior who was coming to rescue a league of black women. This narrative was like pouring gasoline on a fire. The veterans who had been carrying the league for years saw the millions of dollars in endorsements pouring into Clark's lap, while they were still struggling for basic recognition. The war was no longer just about who could put the ball in the hoop, it was about who owned the soul of the game. But the jealousy didn't stop with media attention. It became financial. Shortly after being drafted, news broke that Caitlin Clark was signing an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike, which included her own signature shoe. To put that in perspective, some of the greatest players in WNBA history, players with multiple MVP trophies and championship rings, don't even have their own shoe. The financial disparity was staggering. A rookie was making 10 times more from a single endorsement deal than the league's highest-paid veterans were making in salary. For veterans like Angel Wilson or Breanna Stewart, this was a hard pill to swallow. They have spent years building their brands, winning titles, and carrying the league on their backs. Yet, the corporate world chose to put all its chips on a rookie who hadn't played a single second in the pro league. This isn't just about money, it's about the message it sends. It says that the market values a specific look and a specific narrative over years of proven excellence and sacrifice. And then came the private jet crisis. For years, WNBA players had fought for the right to fly charter. They argued that commercial flights were a safety risk and a physical burden for elite athletes. The league always said no, citing budget constraints. But as soon as Caitlin Clark entered the league and the security concerns around her became a national headline, the league suddenly found the money. Within weeks, charter flights were announced for every team. While this was a victory for the players, it felt like a bitter one for the veterans. It proved that their health and safety didn't matter for 27 years, it only mattered when a specific rookie needed protection. Every hard foul you see on the court today, the hip checks, the elbows, the aggressive double teams, is a physical manifestation of this economic resentment. When Chendi Carter knocked Clark to the floor, she wasn't just playing defense. She was sending a message to the Nike deals, the private jets, and the media hype. She was saying, on this court, your money can't save you. On this court, you're in our world now. The WNBA was built on grit, and the veterans are making sure Caitlin Clark feels every bit of it. To understand the depth of this war, we have to look at the anatomy of the fouls themselves. These aren't just accidental collisions. Let's break down the infamous incident with Chendi Carter. If you watch the footage in slow motion, you see the intent. It wasn't a play for the ball. It was a shoulder charge delivered with a specific message. And look at the reaction of the Chicago Sky bench, they were cheering. This is what shocked the fans the most. In any other professional league, a veteran cheering for a cheap shot on a rookie would be a scandal. But in the WNBA, it was seen by many as defending the culture. But it's not just Carter. Look at the games against the Connecticut Sun or the Las Vegas Aces. You see Caitlin Clark being picked up full court, being bumped at every screen, and being pushed when the referees aren't looking. This is physical warfare. The veterans are testing her mental toughness. They want to see if the Golden Girl will crack under the pressure of the professional grind. They are playing a psychological game, trying to prove that her college stardom doesn't mean anything in a grown woman's league. And then there is the silence. The most telling part of this jealousy crisis is the silence from other stars. When a rookie in the NBA gets targeted like this, the veterans usually speak up, either to defend them or to mentor them. But with Clark, the silence has been deafening. It's as if the entire league has collectively decided to let her sink or swim on her own. This lack of mentorship is a direct result of the financial envy we discussed earlier. Why mentor the girl who is taking your marketing dollars? Why help the rookie who is the reason you feel invisible? This anatomy of hate is what is driving the 18-minute narrative of this season. It's a slow-burn resentment that explodes every time the whistle blows. But the jealousy didn't stop with media attention. It became financial. Shortly after being drafted, news broke that Caitlin Clark was signing an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike, which included her own signature shoe. To put that in perspective, some of the greatest players in WNBA history, players with multiple MVP trophies and championship rings, don't even have their own shoe. The financial disparity was staggering. A rookie was making 10 times more from a single endorsement deal than the league's highest-paid veterans were making in salary. For veterans like Angel Wilson or Breanna Stewart, this was a hard pill to swallow. They have spent years building their brands, winning titles, and carrying the league on their backs. Yet, the corporate world chose to put all its chips on a rookie who hadn't played a single second in the pro league. This isn't just about money, it's about the message it sends. It says that the market values a specific look and a specific narrative over years of proven excellence and sacrifice. And then came the private jet crisis. 4 years, WNBA players had fought for the right to fly charter. They argued that commercial flights were a safety risk and a physical burden for elite athletes. The league always said no, citing budget constraints. But as soon as Caitlin Clark entered the league and the security concerns around her became a national headline, the league suddenly found the money. Within weeks, charter flights were announced for every team. While this was a victory for the players, it felt like a bitter one for the veterans. It proved that their health and safety didn't matter for 27 years, it only mattered when a specific rookie needed protection. Every hard foul you see on the court today, the hip checks, the elbows, the aggressive double teams, is a physical manifestation of this economic resentment. When Chendi Carter knocked Clark to the floor, she wasn't just playing defense. She was sending a message to the Nike deals, the private jets, and the media hype. She was saying, on this court, your money can't save you. On this court, you're in our world now. The WNBA was built on grit, and the veterans are making sure Caitlin Clark feels every bit of it. As we stand at the edge of this chaotic season, we have to pull back the curtain and ask the most uncomfortable question of all: who is the real architect of this war? Is it truly the players on the court, or is it the massive, hungry media machine that has turned a professional sports league into a 24-hour reality TV soap opera? For months, major networks like ESPN, Fox Sports, and countless social media influencers have obsessed over every single foul, every cryptic tweet, and every sideways glance exchanged between players. They didn't just report on a game, they manufactured a war. By framing every interaction as a battle between the new white savior and the bitter, jealous veterans, the media has guaranteed that there can be no peace on the hardwood. They have capitalized on the jealousy crisis because drama sells, and controversy drives clicks. But in doing so, they have placed an impossible burden on the shoulders of these athletes. Think about the psychological toll on Caitlin Clark. She is a 22-year-old girl who just wants to play basketball, yet she is being treated as a political symbol and a lightning rod for racial tension. On the other side, look at the veterans. They are being demonized as bullies simply for playing the same physical style of basketball they have played for 2 decades. The media has effectively turned the WNBA into a gladiator pit where the fans are no longer cheering for skill, they are cheering for a collision. And let's talk about the fans. This isn't just an American story anymore. From the streets of London to the courts in Tokyo, people who never knew the difference between a point guard and a power forward are now experts on WNBA locker room dynamics. The Caitlin Clark effect has become a global phenomenon, a case study in how rapid, explosive growth can destroy a community from the inside if it isn't managed with care. The international audience is seeing a league divided by race, by class, and by a deep-seated resentment that threatens to overshadow the actual talent on the floor. But as we look toward 2026, what does the future actually hold? The trade of Angel Reese to the Atlanta Dream was a desperate move, a tactical separation designed to prevent a literal explosion. But a trade is just a band-aid on a bullet wound. You can move the players to different cities, but you cannot move the cultural forces that brought them to this point. The resentment from the veterans will not vanish because of a change in jersey color. The media spotlight will not dim just because the miles between the rivals have increased. In fact, by moving Reese to Atlanta, the league may have just created a second front in this ongoing war. The upcoming rematch in Atlanta will be the ultimate test of the league's stability. It won't just be about points on the scoreboard, it will be a referendum on the soul of the sport. We are witnessing the birth of a new empire, but it is an empire built on fire and controversy. Will the WNBA finally find a way to bridge the gap between its legendary pioneers and its new, flashy superstars? Or will the jealousy crisis continue to burn until the very foundation of the league cracks under the pressure? As the smoke begins to clear, one reality remains: the WNBA will never be the same. The silence of the past 27 years has been shattered forever. Whether you love her or hate her, Caitlin Clark has changed the game. Whether you agree with her or not, Angel Reese has redefined the role of the modern athlete. The world is finally watching, the ratings are at an all-time high, and the money is pouring in. But as we have learned throughout history, fame comes with a heavy price. The war for the WNBA is far from over. In fact, the most brutal and defining battles might still be ahead of us. In this high-stakes game of pride and power, only one thing is certain. In the WNBA war, there are no easy victories, and there are no innocent bystanders. The world is watching. The clock is ticking. And the next chapter is about to be written in blood, sweat, and the pursuit of a legacy that no amount of money can buy.